All right, so today we're going to be doing a deep dive into practical English conversation, for beginners.
Okay.
We got a really fun script here, and it's got all these simple dialogues that we thought we'd unpack.
Yeah.
Not just, what the phrases are, but the why behind them and how you might be able to use them
Right.
in the real world.
I think that's key. Learning a language isn't just memorizing words. It's understanding those unspoken rules
Absolutely.
of communication.
So let's just jump right in. The script starts with greetings and introductions, which seem really basic.
Right.
But I'm curious, is there more to like, hi, my name is, than meets the eye?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you see greetings, they're a universal ritual. Every culture has a way of acknowledging someone's presence, signaling that you're open to interaction.
So it's not just about exchanging name.
Right.
It's about setting the tone for that interaction.
Precisely. Think about it like a firm handshake, a slight bow, direct eye contact versus a glance away.
Yeah.
Those nonverbal cues communicate volumes before you even say a word.
That's fascinating.
Exactly. And those codes change from culture to culture.
Yeah.
What's considered polite in one place might be rude in another.
For sure. Okay. So let's say you've nailed the greeting.
Mm-hmm.
The script then moves on to asking for directions.
Okay.
A classic travel scenario.
And one that highlights this interesting balance between independence and needing help.
Oh.
Most cultures have a way to signal, I'm lost, without appearing incompetent.
Okay. Interesting. So it's not just about the words like, excuse me, where is.
Right.
It's about how you ask.
Yes. Think about your tone of voice,
Yeah.
your body language. Do you look panicked?
Right.
Or are you approaching it as a friendly request for information that can make all the difference in how people respond?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's almost like asking for directions is its own like mini cultural exchange.
It is, and a chance to practice being clear and concise when you're lost. The last thing you need is a long-winded explanation.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, speaking of being concise, let's move on to ordering food.
Oh.
The script emphasizes politeness.
Right.
But are there cultural differences, even in something as simple as like, I'd like a coffee, please?
Oh, definitely. Some cultures value indirectness. Others are very straightforward. Some have strict dining etiquette.
Oh.
While others are more relaxed. For example, in some places, snapping your fingers to get a waiter's attention is considered incredibly rude.
Oh, yeah. I can see how that would backfire.
Yes.
So how do you navigate those differences?
Observation is key. You watch how locals interact.
Okay.
You listen for subtle cues and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Right.
Most people are happy to share insights about their culture.
So you're saying even when you're learning the language, there's this whole other layer of cultural learning happening at the same time.
Absolutely. The two are intertwined. You can't truly master a language without understanding the culture it comes from.
That's a really cool way to think about it. Okay.
Okay.
So we've covered greetings, directions, and food.
Right.
Now, the script tackles a topic I personally love talking about: the weather.
The universal icebreaker. What's fascinating here is how weather influences our moods, our conversations,
Oh, tell me more.
even our perceptions of different cultures.
Okay.
Well, in some cultures, complaining about the weather is like a national pastime. In others, it's considered negative. Some cultures have specific words for very nuanced weather conditions, reflecting its importance in their lives.
So a simple comment like, it's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Right.
Can actually reveal a lot about cultural values.
Exactly. It can spark conversations about how people perceive the world around them, how they deal with discomfort, even how they view time.
Wow. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
It's like the weather is like a secret window into a culture's soul.
You could say that, and it's a reminder that even small talk
Right.
can be a gateway to deeper understanding.
All right, so you've mastered those everyday encounters.
Okay.
But what about navigating a more social situation? The script dives into making small talk at a party.
Yeah.
Is there a right way to approach that?
It's less about right and more about reading the room, understanding social cues.
Okay.
Some cultures value a direct approach, hi, I'm your name, while others prefer a more subtle introduction through a mutual acquaintance.
So even that opening line,
Right.
hi, I don't think we've met,
Right.
can be adapted depending on the cultural context.
Absolutely. And once you're in, the key is to find common ground, just like the script suggests.
Right.
But the how can vary. Some cultures bond over shared experiences, others over intellectual debate, and some through playful teasing.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it.
Right.
and what's considered appropriate in that specific cultural setting.
Precisely, small talk is like a dance, and every culture has its own rhythm and steps.
This is blowing my mind. Okay, one last scenario before we wrap up this part of our deep dive. Asking about hobbies.
Yeah.
Why is that such a crucial part of getting to know someone?
Because hobbies reveal a lot about a person's passions, values, and how they spend their free time.
Okay, so what do you like to do in your free time is more than just a polite question.
Right.
It's like a window into someone's inner world.
Exactly. And the way someone answers can tell you a lot about their personality. Are they adventurous, creative, introverted? It's a goldmine of information.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So even in these seemingly simple dialogues, there's so much more going on beneath the surface. It's like learning a language is also learning about human nature itself.
It is, and that's what makes it so fascinating, don't you think?
Absolutely. We've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
But don't go anywhere, because in the next part, we'll delve even deeper into the power of language and connection.
Okay.
Welcome back. We were just talking about how asking about hobbies can be, such a revealing part of a conversation.
It is, and it goes beyond just making polite chit-chat,
Right.
Think about it. Hobbies often reflect deeper values. Someone who loves hiking might value nature and solitude. A passionate cook might be all about sharing and connection.
So you're saying their hobbies can kind of give you clues about their worldview.
Exactly.
Their priorities even.
And that's valuable information, whether you're making a new friend,
Right.
trying to understand a colleague, or even navigating a romantic relationship.
Yeah. It's like a shortcut to understanding what makes someone tick.
Yeah.
But the script also suggests sharing your own hobbies.
Yes.
Why is that important?
Because reciprocity is key in building rapport. When you reveal something about yourself, you invite the other person to do the same.
Right.
It creates a sense of balance and trust.
It's like you're saying, hey, I'm willing to be open with you, so maybe you'll be open with me too.
Precisely. And that vulnerability can lead to deeper connection. Plus, you might discover you have shared interests, which is always a great foundation for a relationship.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, stepping back for a moment, we've been talking about all these specific scenarios from the script.
Right.
But for our listeners out there who are learning English conversation, what are some broader takeaways?
Sure.
What really matters?
Sure. One thing that stands out to me is the importance of active listening. It's not just about waiting for your turn to speak. It's about paying attention to the other person's words.
Right.
Their tone, their body language.
So being present in the conversation.
Exactly.
Not just rehearsing your next line in your head.
Because when you truly listen, you pick up on those subtle cues that tell you so much more than words alone.
Yeah.
You understand the context, the emotions behind what's being said.
And that allows you to respond in a way that's more meaningful and authentic, right?
Precisely. It's the difference between simply exchanging information and having a genuine connection with another human being.
That's a powerful distinction. Any other key insights you'd share?
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
Language is a living thing. It's meant to be played with. Try out different phrases, different ways of expressing yourself.
So it's not about being perfect. It's about being willing to make mistakes.
Exactly.
And learn from them.
Embrace the process. Have fun with it. The more you relax and allow yourself to play with the language, the more natural and engaging your conversations will become.
That's encouraging to hear, because sometimes it can feel intimidating, like there's this right way to speak.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's more about finding your own voice.
Absolutely. Every language learner brings their own unique perspective, their own cultural background. And that's something to celebrate, not hide.
I love that. Now, thinking specifically about the script we've been discussing, it focuses on these everyday scenarios.
Right.
But learning a language can open up so many more possibilities.
Well, you can.
What other situations would you encourage listeners to think about?
That's a great point. Think about your passions, your goals. Do you want to travel the world?
Yeah.
Discuss your favorite books or movies, maybe even use your language skills in your career.
So it's about tailoring your learning to your specific interests and aspirations.
Exactly. When you have a clear purpose, a reason why you're learning, it becomes so much more motivating and rewarding.
It's like you're not just learning a language. You're learning how to unlock new experiences.
Right.
Connect with the world in a deeper way.
Precisely. And that's a powerful feeling now. Before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to pose a question to our listeners.
Okay.
What specific scenarios or conversations do you dream of having in English? Hold on to that thought as we continue our exploration.
Yeah, that is a really great question, to think about what conversations do we dream of having.
It is.
It really highlights how language learning is about so much more than just the grammar rules.
Absolutely. It's about connecting with people, sharing experiences, expressing yourself in a way that feels authentic, you know?
Right, and thinking back to the script we've been analyzing, even those basic dialogues,
Yeah,
they hint at that power of communication.
absolutely. We've seen how greetings can be about establishing trust, how asking for directions is this delicate balance of independence and vulnerability, how even small talk can reveal cultural values and spark these unexpected connections.
Yeah, it's like each conversation, no matter how simple, is like a tiny window into the human experience.
That's beautifully put. And as our listeners continue their English language journey, I encourage them to embrace that sense of wonder.
Yeah.
You know, don't just focus on the mechanics. Pay attention to the nuances, the unspoken rules,
Right.
the emotional currents that are flowing beneath the surface.
That's like becoming a cultural detective, right?
Precisely.
Noticing those small details that reveal so much about how people think and interact.
And as you become more fluent, you'll start to see the world through a different lens. You'll pick up on humor,
Oh, yeah.
irony, cultural references that you might have missed before.
That's so true.
It's a whole new level of understanding.
It's almost like learning a new language rewires your brain, opens up these new pathways of thinking and feeling.
It does, and that's what makes it such an enriching experience,
Yeah.
both intellectually and emotionally.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one piece of advice you'd leave our listeners with? What's the secret to truly mastering English conversation?
I think the secret is to remember that it's a journey, not a destination.
Oh.
There will be bumps along the way, moments of frustration, maybe even embarrassment,
Right.
but embrace those challenges as part of the process.
So it's not about being perfect, it's about being persistent,
Exactly.
being willing to keep learning and growing.
And remember to celebrate your successes along the way. Every new word you learn, every conversation you have, it's a step forward.
That's such an encouraging way to think about it. And
Yeah.
even though we've been focusing on English conversation for beginners,
Right.
I think these insights apply to anyone learning any language.
They do. Principles of communication, of cultural understanding are
Right.
universal.
Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and for reminding us of the beauty and power of language.
It's been my pleasure. And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep those conversations flowing. Who knows what amazing discoveries await you?
That's a wrap on another episode of The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.